Alright, horror homies, time for another video. Again, the production value will improve sometime. I'll have a better background. None of that fucking matters. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, all that fun shit. Let's just get into it. This is more of horror news and my personal opinion on something. And I realize that at some point in this video it's going to sound very contradictory, but whatever. Okay? So, there's a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre film coming out soon. It is going to be a direct sequel, kind of like Halloween did. It's cutting out the vast majority of the films. It's going to be a direct sequel to the first movie. And I'm on board, right? I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Big time. I got to tell you, to be honest with you, it's not an easy task to be a Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan. There's a lot of horrible shit that goes on in that franchise that's just I don't know, unredeemable, and also you can't really defend. But whatever, I still love it. Leatherface is one of my favorite horror characters of all time, easily in my top 5, mainly because he's different than the rest of the horror icons, as he's not really a immortal, unstoppable person. He's just a dude, right? So anyway, they recently released a couple screenshots from this film, and I can't help but notice a lot of people already complaining about this movie. Okay? And I just wanted to say this, because every time it comes up, I have to chime in. I'm a huge horror fan. I love Texas Chainsaw. I always chime in with the same thing, which is this. I implore everyone to do this, especially if you're horror fans. This will do a great service. I, unlike a lot of people, am going to hold judgment until I watch the fucking movie. Yeah, it's that simple. The reason why? It's pretty simple. If you go into a film, like, I don't have high expectations for this movie. Very low expectations. Given their track record, very low expectations, right? And I would rather personally go into a film with low expectations rather than going into a film with already made my mind up, really. And the reason I do that is very simple. If you go into a film with very low expectations, there's always the potential, and it won't be as daunting of a task if you go in with low expectations, for a film to pleasantly surprise you. You go in there with low expectations, it's going to be a lot easier for you to enjoy the film if they can exceed those very low expectations. It'll be a far more enjoyable experience. On the flip side, if you go into a movie with your mind made up, it doesn't matter how good it is, you're still going to hate it and talk shit about it because you already decided you fucking hate it. So please, just, before you see it with, maybe not judge it so harshly. Which brings me to this. They have one picture of Leatherface released so far, and that's being judged pretty harshly as well. Because people are like, oh, he's too skinny. Because Leatherface in the 1974 film was definitely a pretty plump fella, right? And they're saying this dude's too skinny, but that doesn't bother me at all. You want to know why? Because, see, I feel like people are forgetting that this film doesn't take place like in 1975, okay? This film takes place 50 years later. So people's bodies tend to change quite a bit in 50 years' time. So that doesn't bother me at all. And I said this when it came to that whole aspect, which is I'm going to withhold my judgment on this version of Leatherface until I get to see the fucking mask. It's the most important aesthetic of Leatherface, the most important attribute. I don't give a fuck if he's skinny or fat. The mask is important. So I'm not going to, talk shit until I see the mask. Okay? Which we did get a very, 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 almost not even really peep at the mask because it's on the, promotional thing. But it's not good enough for me to pass judgment, so I'm waiting for that. Now here's the part where it might sound contradictory, but it's not. As I said, I'm going in with low expectations. But I will tell you this much, there is something that is bothering me about the movie, and it's kind of makes me feel like my low expectations are a good thing to utilize here, because the plot of the movie is basically Leatherface has eluded the law and has integrated himself back into society, to avoid law enforcement, right? And he's the dude that made the film's like, well, he's he's on the run from the law, and he's spent all this time trying to be a good person, but then these people show up and they wake up the beast within Leatherface, right? And I'm not really on board with that. And here's why. Another very important thing to remember about Leatherface is this. Leatherface is not inherently evil. You might think that's a crazy thing to say, given some of the actions he partakes in. But no, he's not inherently evil. He's severely mentally challenged. So what he's doing is wrong by most people's standards, but he doesn't fucking know that it's wrong. He's not capable of registering it's wrong. He pretty much just does what he does in 1974 film because his family wants him to do what he does. And he doesn't realize it's not the right thing to do. He just knows that's what his family wants him to do. And that's why he does it. It's not because he's like, oh, I love killing people or anything. It's my family wants me to do this and they can't be fucking mean, you know? There's no way that they're wrong, you know? So he's not inherently evil, but that also plays into this whole thing that bothers me about it. Is a person of Leatherface's mental capacity wouldn't know better to try to elude the law. They wouldn't comprehend that what they're doing is illegal. They wouldn't comprehend that they can go to prison for the rest of their life. And they sure as fuck wouldn't be able to articulate and execute a plan to escape anyone at all. Like, there's no way Leatherface in the 1974 film is going to have any sort of thought process where it's like, well, I guess I better try to fucking, put myself back in society and try to be a good person because I don't want to go to prison or anything. Like, that's not how Leatherface is. Leatherface wouldn't know any of that or comprehend any of that. And unless there's a different character that comes in and, like, tells him that and shows him the way, it's not going to make any fucking sense at all because, like I just said before, Leatherface is insanely mentally challenged to the point where he doesn't understand emotions and what's right and wrong. He's not going to know to run away. He's not going to know to fucking disguise himself to hide in society. He's not going to know if he's, trying to be a good person, or he's not going to even know if he is a good person or a bad person because he doesn't comprehend that kind of shit. And I kind of feel like that's not a very good plot for the movie, considering the whole thought process goes completely and utterly against what the character of Leatherface is on many levels. So, yeah, I just wanted to throw all that out there. Now, keep in mind, I'm not jumping the gun, because this is, in fact, like I said before, a direct sequel to the 74 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Therefore, this is supposed to be the same exact Leatherface. Therefore, he should not be doing what the fuck it is he's doing in the plot of this movie. He wouldn't know any better. I can't say that enough. I've said it too many times. I apologize, but for fuck's sakes. But I'm still gonna, not judge the shit until I see it, but that does bother me quite a bit. But there's no fucking way it's gonna be worse than Leatherface, right? I mean, for fuck's sakes, is that even possible? I sure fucking hope not. If this movie is as bad as Leatherface, I may never watch another Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie ever again. A lot of them are bad, for real. The first one's incredible. The second one takes a bit of a dip, but I still love it. It's a dark comedy. And then all kinds of crazy shit happens. Like, this fucking franchise reboots itself every 3 fucking movies, apparently. You know what I mean? Like, Texas Chainsaw, The Next Generation. Not good. Terrible. It's so bad that Matthew McConaughey, that's right, he's in that, and Renee Ziegler, I know, Renee Zellweger, yeah, guess what, she's in it too, mind-blowing, right? The movie is so goddamn horrifically shitty, like, it got delayed so many times that by the time it was finally going to be released, right, Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey had been making a mark in Hollywood, becoming successful. They're at the beginning stages of their career. They're starting to see a lot of success. And The Next Generation is so god-awfully shitty that both people, Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey, both of them tried to have the movie stopped from seeing release because they knew it's so shitty it could ruin their fucking career. And it is pretty bad. But I'm just saying. But I also want to throw this out there for good measure. It wasn't all bad, because the 74, awesome. The sequel, I love it. And then the reboot, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. The remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre is hands down one of the greatest remakes of a horror film ever. They captured a lot, and they added some. Because, the original Texas Chainsaw was pretty much gore fest type shit, and just bizarre type shit. Whereas the remake actually integrated a bunch of suspense, which made it that much better. Like, there's pretty intense shit going on in some of these scenes. Namely, the one where Jessica Biel is trying to outrun the fucking cop dude, and she gets in that semi, and he's, walking around trying to find her and shit. Like, they really do a good job of building up the suspense in that scene, and it's very well done. Even the beginning was really good. And then they took a complete and utter fucking shit-fest left turn after those two films. Like, it was like, the remake, good. The prequel, hell yeah, that's fucking good. I didn't see that coming. And then immediately it's like, hey, Texas Chainsaw 3D. We had a pretty thing going, so let's just, put out a turd now. Because that movie's not great. And they haven't really been able to catch their footing since. So hopefully this movie doesn't suck. But I'm going to hold judgment until I see it. And I am absolutely going to see it. But please, for the love of fuck, do not disappoint me like you did with Leatherface. I will be fucking very, very, very upset. So there you go. Like, share, subscribe, hit the stupid fucking bell. Yeah. Any suggestions of anything you want me to talk about, by all means, hit me up. And let's spread this channel and see if we can start something, a community. I might even do giveaways, like a lot of people do. Like for milestone type shit. As a matter of fact, I might show you these later in a different video because I'll probably be working on them at some point today. But I am currently in the middle of converting a set of spruce green Big Mac coveralls for an H2 thing. Now you might be thinking, if you're in the know and you know what the fuck's going on, you might ask me why I would practice on such a piece, because Big Macs are very reminiscent of the H2 coveralls, very highly sought after. And very, they're not super insanely hard to find, but they're not easy to find because they've been out of production for quite some time. So some people might question my decision on trying to modify them into some H2, putting bullet holes and weathering them and shit, if they're that goddamn important to the whole shit there. And here's the reason why. Because first of all, number one, I want to try my hand at converting a set of coveralls. I've done little, bits and pieces here and there, but I want to go full blown with this. Second of all, they're snug and too short. I bought them at the same time I bought a different pair from someone else. It was on an eBay situation. I don't know if this has ever happened to you. It happens to me because I'm such a fucking idiot sometimes, and my love of horror, may cloud my judgment. But I bid on both pairs, not thinking I would win either bid, really, because they were pretty low. And then I ended up winning both of them, but they were cheap enough where it wasn't a big fucking deal. So that's why I'm modifying these coveralls. And if I decide to not sell them when they're done, if they're not horrible, shitty looking, and I decide I don't want to sell them, this may become my very first ever giveaway on this channel when we hit certain milestones. So with that being said, once again, sorry for the long-winded ending here. You all have a good fucking day, night, week, month, year, whatever the fuck. Just have a good one.